Hello and welcome to Restoring Our American Republic. I'm Chuck Benoit with The Nature of Things, where we are realigning God, government, and natural law so that we might restore our American Republic. Please post your comments to be part of the narrative. A Republican form of government. What does that really mean? It's important to note that Democrats don't govern democratically, they actually govern autocratically. As often as I say this, it is so important to understand that I must continue to say it. All forms of government fall into two methods. We are either governing by an autocracy, in Bernie and Ocasio-Cortez's words, an oligarchy, or we're governed as a republic. So again, what is a Republican form of government? Simply put, it's a bottom-up governing style. It is the people being governed telling those who are allowed to govern exactly how they're allowed to govern. And we here in the USA, we're a representative republic, and that means that we elect people to represent us in the governing process. And that works. Well, it works until representatives begin to represent someone else. At that point, the Republican becomes an autocrat, no different than a Democrat. And the reason the Republican Party looks so much like the Democrat Party is this very thing. The Republican Party is no longer representing citizens, they're representing special interests. The result being an attack on home rule and our individual sovereignty. So how are we doing here in Florida? Well, joining us this morning is John Hallman, the Executive Director of Defending Rural Florida. Welcome, John.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, and before we get too far, how's it going, Michael?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Chuck. It's great to have John
Super.
on with us today. I just want to make a quick comment. You know, that John really is an amazing expert, and I know he's going to do a little intro right now, but I'm just really pleased that he took the time to come on with us today. And I know that the viewers are going to really be benefit greatly from a guy like John with the experience level that he has, Chuck.
Super, super. Well, I'm glad to know that, and very excited to have him with us this morning. So, how are we doing here in Florida? Are we a representative government, or is our government kind of taking us off the rails?
Yeah, Chuck. So, one of the reasons that Defending Rural Florida started was because things coming out of the state legislature was just a continual taking away, usurping power from our local governments and the people. So the most important thing is that, as you mentioned, Chuck, the people, this is supposed to be a bottom up. And what it is they're dictating legislation from Tallahassee that's from the top down, forcing a one size fits all, especially on my subject of growth management, to the point that, the Florida legislature now is running growth management for all the counties, and it just doesn't make any sense. And the worst part of it, Chuck, is that they're in their legislation are always proposing taking away public hearings on growth management, taking away the voice of the public. So, yeah, no, it's very disturbing.
So, tell us a little bit about Defending Rural Florida.
Yeah, so exactly what I was just talking about is that there was a group of us that saw like all of this stuff coming out of Tallahassee, and that was actually the intent of these all this legislation is to take away any restrictions on development. Developers have their lobbyists, and they were pushing for bills that would take away power from the local governments and allow for unrestricted development. And what we've seen, and my research shows that so many counties right now and cities are suffering because, to be honest, they were allowing too much development early on. If you go back 20 years, over the last 20 years, we have seen such an acceleration of development. And what's happening is that they're building ahead of the infrastructural needs. And what they're finding out is the counties and cities are now becoming more restrictive, and they should, because what they're finding out is the incredible amount of flooding that's happened now that never happened. We've had hurricanes in Florida forever, and never so many of these counties that have been overdeveloped are now seeing flood problems because so much of the wetlands have been paved over. The water has nowhere to go. So we have so much infrastructural problems. And so we formed Defending Rural Florida to give a voice to those that are concerned about the problems of overdevelopment.
Oh, super. Um, So one of the things that I'm noticing is the idea that the state is coming in and kind of doging local governments and forcing them to get their act in together and yet at the same time they're putting new restrictive bills on them. It just seems like the local governments don't really have anywhere to go. They're just kind of stuck in the middle of all this.
Yeah, no, exactly. And one of my concerns about Doge, and I support the concept, right? I mean, government at all levels waste money. I mean, tremendous amounts of waste. So in concept, but what I worried about, Chuck and Mike, is that the new CFO of Blazongolia, who's now basically going into counties, and I'm going to start auditing your books and make sure you're not wasting money. What I'm concerned about, will they use this auditing of their books to push them to accept more development? We kind of got a taste of that in Manatee County. Manatee County was just getting ready to the county commission was just getting ready to vote on creating a buffer zone around wetlands, which is necessary. I just talked about the necessity of preserving our wetlands for flood control, for giving a place for the stormwaters to run off and not destroy homes, which they have. And so they got a letter. The county commission got a letter, a stern letter from the state, and said, if you pass that, you're violating SB 180. The county commission, unfortunately, has backed down. They said that they feared that Governor DeSantis might use his authority to remove county commissioners all over because they just wanted to create more development. And so here we go again with a top down and using a good concept of Doge to manipulate counties to allow for more development.
Yeah, I guess that was my concern. It just seems to be, Doge has got a very popular appeal, and they seem to be weaponizing it a little bit there. So we just kind of had to swallow the Live Local Act, and then you mentioned this SB 180. Could you give us an overview of SB 180?
Yeah, so SB 180 passed in this last legislative session. As it was going through its committee meetings, it was proposed as a way to help cities and counties rebuild after the hurricanes. So we had 3 hurricanes last year. Many people, like y'all in Central Florida, there got hit by Milton pretty hard, and of course Debbie and Helene, which both of those came through me in Madison County up here. But they also ran up the coastline too as well and did a tremendous amount of damage. And so the idea was like, okay, this bill is to help communities rebuild, be able to build back quicker, which again in concept, okay, that sounds good. Says the bill's moving through. It's a 50-some page bill. As I was telling Mike's, many parts of the bill seem okay as far as it does seem maybe like it does help. The idea is that, if your home was damaged from these hurricanes, you want to be able to rebuild as fast as you can, right? And I get that. I would too if my home had been destroyed. And so this, to me, when they added 2 sections to this bill, kind of through the process, all of a sudden, again, my experience in Tallahassee over the last 20 some years tells me that the lobbyists for the developers went to the Senate sponsor, which is Senator Nick DeSegli from St. Petersburg, and handed him language and said, here, put this into the bill. And what the bill said, and I'm just paraphrasing here, is that any city or county cannot pass any changes to their comp plans, zoning laws, anything like that with growth management that would seem, and here's the quote in the bill, is restrictive or burdensome. And they made this retroactive to August of last year. So anybody that made a change in their zoning and their comp plans, which did happen, and let me just say this, they needed to change. I mean, we just the hurricanes, if anything, gave us a lesson. So that we need to rethink how we're developing and how we're, we can avoid flood damage and other things that are going. And I can get into to our aquifers are being drained. So they needed to be restrictive. And this bill with this language in sections 18 and 28 of SB 180 absolutely take away any ability of the cities and counties to plan out their growth management going forward to make sure that they don't have flood damage anymore. So yeah, so it ended up where maybe parts of this bill is okay, but these two parts specifically need to be taken out.
Yeah, Mike, do you have any
Yeah,
thoughts
Chuck,
on
if you don't mind,
anything?
yeah, sure. Yeah, a couple of things, Again, it's so interesting, John, that, these bills this is like a 50-page bill, right, John?
Right,
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff in it. But the fact of the matter is, we have to live with the good parts and the bad parts. So if I'm a state rep, I don't want to expose my constituents to bad things that are in partially good bills, right? I mean, you got to live with the whole package when it's all over.
right.
So let me just I keep a pretty close eye on these things. And for me, like, for example, our legislative delegation in Tallahassee, if you took the, bills like SB 180 and Live Local and other bills that are land use intensive, and you put that in front of the citizens are outraged, long story short, by this. Yet their representatives are voting for it. And not only vote, of course, in my county, in Lake County, our legislative delegation has a financial interest in these things. You're talking farmers, ag people.
Mhm.
So they have a direct financial interest in what's going on here. So your point, that the development community went to the sponsor of the bill and dropped some language on them and said, put this in. They just do it. Am I right, John?
No, no, absolutely. And here's the developer, just like other special interest groups, so we can look at the utilities and FP&L and Duke as well, and that
Hmm.
they command significant power with the Florida legislature, and they do it if you go to Mike, about the political committees, a PAC, if you will, a state PAC that these legislators set up, a myriad of, and they set up side and different ones that all kind of come together to funnel money around. You'll see the developers have contributed massive amounts of money to and listen, I'm not trying to pick on Republic. I'm a lifelong Republican, but the Republicans have a supermajority. They're the power base in Tallahassee. Nothing passes that they don't allow to pass. And so that's where the money's going. So the money's going to Senator Albritton and Speaker Perez and other in leadership, House Appropriation chairs, Chair McClure, tremendous amounts of money. And so, I was talking to Bob White earlier, and there's a problem in the system. So I mean, it's human nature. So if you're a developer and I'm John Hallman and I'm a representative, and you just gave me $200,000 to my political committee, I'm probably going to try to help you out, right? I mean, it's just part of it. It's a problem of the
Yeah,
system. So another day we could talk about campaign finance reform and
exactly. Yes.
and so they
Which is
yeah
critical right now.
so here's the deal. And I've been lobbying in Tallahassee for over 2 decades, and this is how it works. They come in to the Senate sponsor and go, and they hand them the language, and they go put this into the bill, and they do, and then
They do.
yeah.
So, it's so interesting because you get into the culture of the whole thing, John, and this is what is so outrageous that, because I know personally, I ran for a Florida House seat in 24, and I sat down. I mean, I'm a real estate broker, and I had some business with one of the biggest developers in the state of Florida, and he took me out to lunch one day, and he just asked me if I would support unlimited density, right, and circumvent the home rule to give him. And this guy stands in front of the Lake County Board of County Commissioners from time to time. He develops all over Florida. He's a big, big developer. And I just had to happen to cross paths with him in my career. And he literally sat me down over lunch and asked me if he helped me with my campaign, would I, vote for unlimited density, and would I vote to circumvent, circumvent local voters, local citizens from actually expressing themselves at city council meetings and county commission meetings, and that's just completely against the grain for who I personally am.
Right.
So it's really amazing, John. My point in telling you all that is that isn't it a sad day when we become so self-centered that if you walk into your state rep or your state senator's office with language for a bill and say, put this into the bill, and your representative would say, well, let me go back home and talk to my people about this and see how they feel or something like that, that this guy is going to go off the rails. He's going to be angry, isn't he, John? And that is just unacceptable to me. And because, the purpose of government is so we can all live peaceably together. Otherwise, we don't need government. If we're not going to live peaceably together, well, then we'll just go back to the clan system and fight it out, you know?
Right.
But
Right.
that's not what's happening here. So right now, the muscle is money, as you alluded to. So
Right.
that's what really gets under my skin. If we don't have a civil discussion about these things, and civility is actually um, is just removed from the process, John.
No, it is, and and everybody. So, to your point, Mike. I mean, the one thing I have found out since I've been running defending rural Florida and reaching out all across Florida is so many people across. I mean, this if you ran a huge poll where you polled thousands and thousands of people across Florida, I bet you 80% are going to go, no, we need to stop overdevelopment. We need to be able to pause
Right.
and grow better, grow smarter, and it is. And so somebody always asked me like, well, maybe we need to let the legislators know this. And I said, they know it. They
They
know
know
it.
it exactly.
They know it.
Exactly.
And they're trying to
Hmm.
ignore us and do the bidding of the major developers and their contributions to their political committees. So they know it. What they need to feel is heat. And, so
I
one of the
agree.
things to defend in rural Florida is we encourage people to contact your state rep and your state senator. Constituents still can have power. And if they hear from enough people, uh, it makes them a little bit nervous. So that's where
Right.
we got to apply heat to them in order to get them to not do the bidding of the developers.
Right. I agree. And it's so interesting too, John. I think that the grassroots of the state of Florida has been working really hard for a really long time. And I, talked to quite a few grassroots types of activists, right? And it's really frustrating because they don't, like, for example, they don't contribute to political campaigns mostly. Most of these people don't have a lot of extra money, so getting them to again, I was shocked. Well, I wasn't shocked. I should take that back, but let me just make the point that in my primary there were four Republicans running in an all dark red county. And I know that there was $750,000 spent in that race. I mean, three of us were in the north of 200 grand in each of our races, and the fourth guy had maybe 50 grand in it. So, that's just what was traceable back to the PCs and stuff like that were pouring money into this races. I mean, it was astounding. And of course, we were one of the seven counties that got the voting cards, from SimWins and all that stuff. So it was a bloodbath of money, spent in this race. And the locals find it very frustrating because no matter how many signs they stand on the corner, waving signs on the corner for their candidate or going door to door, getting signs in the ground, that kind of stuff, it just doesn't seem to help, right? So this is why, John, I believe that we need to start really putting a lot of pressure because, again, what we do know is that the constitutional officers in our counties have a lot of influence, and the county commissioners in our counties have a lot of influence, and the city council people have some influence, not as big as the commissioners and the constitutional officers. But if we can, I think we're really at a crossroads, John. And my point is that these commissioners and city council people are starting to understand, they're starting to feel it, right? I mean, there's things that their constituents are outraged about, and they're starting to feel it. So maybe this is the time when we can get local government to kind of partner with grassroots activists to put pressure on state people to actually give locals a voice. And I'll just ask Chuck to get involved and give us a couple of comments from his side.
Yeah, well, in an article that I was reading regarding the SB 180, this so many different counties are upset about this. I would imagine all of them are. But in this particular article, Volusia County Commissioner Jeff Brower said that this SB 180 affects every county and every city in the state. You can't control the way you're developing and the way you're managing your own land. And in the same article, Manatee County Commissioner George Cruz said he agreed with that and added it undoubtedly helps builders. You can't protect your own citizens, so who are we protecting? Just developers. So is that what SB 180 is all about? Is it just all about
John.
protecting builders?
Yeah, I mean, so listen, there's so many bills, and there were some other bills that were in the legislature that defending rural Florida, working with some other really good groups that are forming around Florida right now. There are many groups forming to try to bring back local control of growth management and to address the overdevelopment problem. And so we were able but so when you read the bill, you quickly realize, like they'll put a nice title on it, right? And like Mike and I were talking, they'll even put maybe some good stuff in the bill. But the overall objective, and this is, I don't have proof of this, but my feeling is, again, with my experience, is that 180 by Senator Nick DeSegli was filed so that they could specifically eventually put this language in. And and I talked to legislators who voted for this, and they said they deeply regret their vote for this. They said they didn't know, they thought this was to help communities rebuild. And like Mike said earlier, they don't read the bills. They're basically told how to vote, and they didn't read the bill. And so I feel these bills are being written specifically to help developers. And then what you do is you throw a nice title on it. It's like I said, I told some people, like, if you put the name of a bill, be nice to puppies, but the bill is bad stuff, it has nothing to do with puppies, then, but, oh, well, we've got to be nice to puppies, so let's pass the bill. And that's what happens. They just, oh, well, this is to help local communities, so let's pass it. And it got almost unanimous. I think there was only one member of the legislature that voted no on this in the final votes in the House and the Senate. So yeah, no, I am going to say that they are directly to help developers and try to throw a few nice things in there to get everybody to support it.
No question about it. So, it is interesting. You're saying that there are state reps and senators out there who regret, voting for it. Those people need to put some muscle behind, and let's talk about the lawsuit, John. Why don't we get into the lawsuit and talk about that? I'll just go ahead and make the point that if you're a state rep and you're a state senator and you regret voting for SB 180, we need to hear from you on the record. Yeah, you're welcome to come on this live stream, and we'll give you an opportunity to talk about it. And let us know. What should we do now? Because you're the guy. You voted for it. You made it into law. So what are we going to do now? We need your support and your help. So if you wouldn't mind, John, let's just go into this a little conversation about the lawsuit.
I wouldn't mind just making one comment before we go into the lawsuit.
Okay.
And that is, we got the exact same message when Live Local passed. Oh, we didn't know all of this, and there were so many good things about it. I mean, it sounds like it's a broken record here, where our legislators vote for these horrible bills, and then all of a sudden apologize to us. So this lawsuit might be something a little bit more impactful than an apology.
Okay, and if you don't mind, I'm going to make one more point, John, before you get into that, and that is that you start pouring concrete all over the state of Florida, it's over. You are not going to undo that.
Not going back.
Okay, so now let's go to the lawsuit, John. Thank you.
Okay, and if I could, Mike, I'm going to make one quick point about the Live Local Act. As another bill that was passed that was written mainly by developers. Live Local is a huge gift to the developers, giving them huge property tax rate reductions. And so that's another one. Like, who would be against affordable housing? We got to help people afford a house. But if you read the bill, and it's just a huge gift to the developers.
Well, let me tell you something, John. I'm a real estate broker. I'm a realtor, a member of the National Association of Realtors. I was just at a broker symposium when the president of the Florida Association of Realtors, who's a friend of mine, I know the guy, and he was bragging that a lot of Live Local was drafted right in this very room where you're sitting right now. And I'm telling you, John, you read my little article about the land use equilibrium. I think I sent that to you. And the
Yes,
point is, John, I mean, affordable housing is a joke. No one in Florida benefits from a Florida. No one who has any authority or any influence in Florida benefits from affordable housing. That is a joke.
right,
Nobody want, and the realtors talk out of both sides of their mouth all day long. Okay, you're having one meeting over here celebrating rising home prices, and another meeting room you're whining about affordable housing. Well, guess what? If everybody in the supply chain benefits from rising housing values, John, housing values are going to rise, period. And subsidizing housing purchases actually exacerbates the problem. Okay, so
right,
that's a joke. And don't tell me these people don't know that. Okay, I know these people. I'm a
right,
realtor. I sat on their board of directors for 12 years. I was president of two associations, right? I know these people. These people know what they're doing, right? And now they won't even talk about it because I brought it up in this meeting I was at. I was like, there's no way you're going to achieve affordable housing as long as everybody in the supply chain benefits from rising prices. So why don't we just stop talking about it?
In our
Right, John?
waning moments, in
right.
our waning
In our
moments,
waning,
let's
we might have to go over a minute or two here,
let's
Chuck.
go over to that lawsuit there. John, we'll give you the floor again.
Exactly. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah. So many counties after the bill passed and signed by the governor on July 1st of last month, and immediately developers started jumping on the language in 180 to start filing a notice of intent to sue, which is in the bill. They have to give a 14-day notice. So they gave several of them, or Orange County, Volusia County. I mean, they all got their little notice of intent from the developers' attorneys to say, like, what you did, this thing that you passed, whether it was a moratorium on construction or creating a rural zone like Orange County did, that was passed by 73% of the Orange County residents to keep an area of Orange County rural. They said that's in violation, and so the lawsuit started flying. So against the counties. So many of the counties said, we got to do something. So several counties started getting together and with the idea of getting a class action lawsuit. And their goal is to get as many counties and cities to join in on this class action lawsuit to give it a lot of oomph to the lawsuit. And their main goal is right now to immediately get injunctive relief from these potential lawsuits from 180.
Okay.
So,
Well, that's, again, that just goes back to the point that, I mean, for years, and, Chuck, I'll wrap this up quickly, but, our county commissioners and city council members sit silent and they don't push back because they risk whatever the rationale is. They risk losing appropriations from the state or something like that. But at the end of the day, you're getting steamrolled by the state of Florida. And when it gets down to Chuck's point about republicanism and a representative Republican form of government, at some point, ladies and gentlemen, you got to do your job and step up and represent your constituents, which has completely gone out of style in the state of Florida. Chuck, you want to go to John or you want to pick
sure.
up?
I just, and again, in our final moments here, John, what can people do to push back against SB 180? Where can they find information to help them articulate their concerns? Do you have anything on
Right.
your website or what?
So what I do is I post a lot, and I know we're on Facebook is where I'm posting most of my alerts and my information for people. And I so if I know not everybody's on Facebook, but if you're on Facebook, go to Defending Rural Florida and follow us because I really use that as a way to get out quick messages. Also Twitter or X, I should say. And I give alerts. I tell people like, here's you call your, here's how to get a hold of your state senator, your state rep, and I give them the talking points of why SB 180 is bad. So so I just encourage everybody, whether you go through Defending Rural Florida or you just call your state rep and state senator and tell them that SB 180 is a bad bill. It takes away power from the people to guide growth management. So, but we have our website, defendingruralflorida.org, and also my contact information's there. I'm more than happy if I get calls all the time from people around the state. What can I do? What can I do? And and I have some experience on dealing with the Florida legislature, so I'm happy to share my knowledge on that and help us. And we're working with many groups, great groups around Florida. So yeah, just follow us on Facebook if you can, or X, and I keep everybody updated.
And isn't it
Super.
also true, John, that talking to your local county commissioners and city council people in this particular situation is also very effective because
Oh,
this is front of mind, all right? This is in
oh,
front of them. They
absolutely.
have to make a decision whether they're going to join this lawsuit or not.
Right.
Do you encourage cities and counties to join the lawsuit, John?
I am encouraging them. We need to have as many cities and counties. And that just the fact that this many cities and counties, if a whole bunch of them join the lawsuit and the class action lawsuit, sends another message immediately to the state legislators, like, oh, okay, wow. So yeah, no, encourage. Yeah, if you have contacts with your county commission and your city councils, absolutely contact them and say, please join the lawsuit on SB 180.
Sounds
Great.
good.
That's awesome.
Well, gentlemen, we are out of time, and thank you so much, John, for joining us this morning and for informing us of so much and what the average citizen could possibly do. And thank you all again for tuning into our twice weekly live stream. Please follow us on Facebook at Restoring Our American Republic, or check us out on YouTube at Restoring Our American Republic ROAR. Like and share the program, please. And remember, if you are unwilling to govern yourself, you will be governed by tyrants. So until next time, God bless you. God bless President Donald J. Trump. And God bless America.